Hello and welcome to Sport Tonight. I'm Cecilia Mogbe in Lagos.
Spotty greetings to you wherever you are in the world, joining us in London. I'm Austin Okonapan.
Yeah, Austin, well, it's great to have you. Well, on the show today, we'll be talking about wrestling. Wrestling is going to get our attention simply because of what's currently going on in Serbia, where you have about 6 Nigerian athletes competing at the World Wrestling Championships taking place in Serbia. We'll also talk about the National Youth Games. Of course, what the youth game all about? National Youth Games taking place in Asaba, Delta State. Because athletes have started arriving and we are preparing for the opening ceremony. And also, we'll touch down on the UEFA Champions League. Newcastle, after 20 years of the green, they are back in. Of course, it was a goalless game for them this evening. And also, we'll talk about Arsenal, Mikel Arteta, who has been talking about Arsenal, of course. What's the story? The story is that after 6 years, they're back. Of course, he says they want to make use of the very best of opportunity in this UEFA's Champions League. Also, we'll talk about what happened in the CAF Confederations Cup. 2 Nigerian teams are in action. It was a draw for both sides. Talking about what? Rivers United, of course. Bender Insurance, they were having to drop back to get a draw against RS Berkane of Morocco. That's the defending champions of the CAF Confederations Cup. There's so much to talk about on the program tonight. But not just me and Austin that will be talking about all these events. I just realized what we have. Well, someone in the studio, Kende Idris, is a Tuesday, of course. He's right here in the studio. Kende, it's good to have you.
It's good to, share the studio with you again after a long while. I said, Cecilia of Australia, it's good to have you back. And it's good to be here. Austin, good evening also.
Yeah, Austin, of course, will join us much later. But then we're going to start up with wrestling. We know Team Nigeria, they're currently in Serbia, where you have the World Wrestling Athletics Championship. 90 tickets is on offer right now. 90 athletes can actually qualify, book a ticket to the 2024 Paris Games, of course. And as usual, when you look at the numbers, I mean, that's why we'll be having the president on the show today, because he needs to tell us, 6 athletes going for it. Yes, we understand that sometimes you want to give priority to the athletes that will give you medals. And not just that, you also look at the fact that maybe the funds for you to take as many athletes as you want. But look at the names, they are female. I mean, the athletes that we know, Blessing Borodidu, like something, Duayo, and Ruben, Anna, and all the athletes. Genesis, of course, she's also there. It's just like the regulars are the athletes, that are actually going. I've been anticipating, looking forward to where we'll have a name we are not familiar with, going for championships like this. But somehow it's always hard for us to get through that.
I think it's also always hard anywhere around the world. This is the Olympics qualifier. You want your best legs to go in there and compete and get a ticket to be there. But we were here last week discussing this, and one of the major things I mentioned is the fact that the more the merrier. Where are the men? What are the men doing? The ladies have stood out, way above, the men. The men have comfortably stayed in the shadow of the women. But in so many cases, you only push those who seem like they are ready to cross the line. And you just mentioned Blessing Oborodudu, just recent at the last Olympic silver medalist, Odoya Adekuru. Everybody thought she was our #1 medal hope for going to the Olympics, and she's that big. Mercy Genesis also, you would always rely on her. So you want to push those who you feel can get, all of your, have a good chance to qualify. For the men, maybe would have them shocking us, because we are not so expectant. No disrespect to them, we are not so expectant, but we want to see.
Let me call out the names, right?
Okay.
You have Mercy Genesis.
Yeah.
Obviously, Mercy Genesis is a woman.
Yes, fantastic young woman.
Odoaka Adekure, obviously a woman, right? Then you have Hannah Ruben. Gender.
Of course, it's a woman.
Okay, yeah. Then you also have Blessing Oborodudu, gender.
She is a woman.
Okay. Then we also have Esther Kolawole, gender.
She should be a woman.
Okay. Ogunsayo Christina.
That's a woman.
Okay. All right. Austin, are you there?
It's okay if you go on and on about what the women have done for wrestling in Nigeria. They totally deserve it. They've been there, done that, giving the country good representation back in the day. But it's not been so much of a fantastic story in Serbia. So when Daniel Igali, the president of the Nigeria Wrestling Federation, joins us, he will give us an update of everything that went down there in Serbia. I was rooting for Messi Genesis. I think he had a very difficult fight. It was also a very difficult fight for Anna Ruben. And then Oduayo Adekroye, she won her first fight, but didn't particularly go away in the second. She has another chance to fight for a bronze medal tomorrow. So if Daniel Igali is ready, let's go to Serbia. He will join us on the show, give us the updates that we need to talk about what's going on at the World Championship. Daniel Igali, if you're ready, good evening from London, United Kingdom. Is also evening in Lagos, Nigeria. Welcome to Sports Tonight.
Thank you for having me on. I don't know if you can hear me very well because I can hear you very faintly here.
Yeah, we'll try to fix that audio issue. I can also, I'm experiencing it also. We'll fix it. But quickly, let's just jump into it. What happens today at the World Championships for Team Nigeria?
Well, we came here with 6 of our best athletes. With the blessing of Portugal and Dwayne here. Today we had Dwayne Degroye, Anna Ruben, and Messi.
Okay, I think it would be hard for to take the president of Nigeria Wrestling Federation, Danny Gali, because we're having a audio issue right here in the studio. We'll try to get back to you once we're able to correct that. I mean, Austin, you just mentioned, some of the athletes, the ones that, trying to, get into the medal zone by tomorrow. We saw Oduanya Adekoroye, kind of, wrestling right there. I mean, she's in a pole position to also get a ticket if she can.
Since the last Olympics, I've been waiting for the next Olympics. I knew how she cried and cried, after that shocking defeat for Oduayo, and she said she'll be back, and she has been working and rising, and she's at that level where we know Oduayo to always be. She's a conqueror, she's a fighter, she's super good, very technical, with her coach that we all know. So I cannot wait to see her get the ticket, go for the Olympics, and remind the entire world why we, Nigerians were expectant of her the last time. And some parts of the world who knew her, she fights out there. She does not fight, on the regular here. So she needs to go there and remind the entire world. And I have a feeling this time, once beaten, I guess it's twice shy, she would do better and be more, careful. I guess it was a bit of, I've gotten past this, and then she was shocked on that day. I saw the fight. It was a bitter one. And, she couldn't get past that. But now she has. Psychologically, I'm sure she's stronger and she will do better this time. And I think that goes to everybody.
Yeah,
for Oboro Dudu, she wants to do one better. She got silver the last time. It's a Ghanaian who took this, although she was fighting for the US. Well, how can you do this to your sister?
What do you mean? I mean, gold is a stake. You want to get that. You know how much the Americans get once they win gold medals.
Of course.
It's huge. All right, we'll try as much as possible to get back to Daniel Igali to give us updates of what's going on in Serbia, Belgrade, where the athletes are, competing for tickets to go to the Olympics. This is one of the first qualifiers. They're going to have other qualifiers, but this is just one of them. If all the athletes can pick a ticket to the Olympics, good for Nigeria. Let's talk about the youth games. That's where you actually groom them to this level. We just talked about where they are able to compete at the elite level. And of course, we all know that Delta State, Asaba precisely, that's where is taking place. Athletes already arriving. And of course, the organizing committee, that's the LOC, they've been talking about the things they put in place to ensure that these youth games will also be one of the best. Not just one of the best, you'll have a game like never before. You have 23 competition venues fully ready, except for the one for the gymnastics, where they said they will install some of the equipment in a matter of days, before the gymnastics event will start. You have 36 states, including Federal Capital Territory, of course, competing with over about 5,000 athletes also competing in the games that is starting on the 20th, of course, ending games opening ceremony is 23rd.
Yep.
Yeah, 23rd, and of course closing ceremony is 30th, and that's even one of the reasons why the second phase of the basketball, NBBF was actually had to be moved, to a later date because of the youth game. So all eyes obviously are on Delta State as about precisely, and of course they said they want to have, top musical acts from Ice Prince and the likes, for the opening ceremonies, and I'm like, the money for that, put it into something else. What?
Put it into youth development. Put it into grassroots sport.
Well, they just want to give the spectators something to share. Yeah.
If this can be maintained, fantastic. I love it. One of the beauties of this is the fact that a month to the competition, we're not talking about hosts. One of the things the youth game has suffered over the years is the case of host. 1 month, 2 months to the competition, we're still talking about, they cannot host, so somebody would have to do a rescue mission. When Kwara did, I think Abuja did at a point. So it's something that has been managed. Delta, rose to that,
last time
and we settle. Now, if Delta gives us a fantastic competition, it will ride on the fact that they knew they wanted to do this. They went for it, they got it. And for all this while, they've been preparing. And when they say they want to give us something fantastic, we saw how the National Sports Festival went with Delta. Beautiful. If Delta says they will do it, they can do it. But I'm hoping they wouldn't do this looking at it as the youth games, national youth games, not the National Sports Festival. That also plays its own role. Sometimes they feel it's youth.
Okay, they don't have to put so much.
You don't have to put so much. But it's the national games. And these kids, these teenagers will remember this and for as long as, and some of them, this might just be what they need to spur them on, open them up to the next big thing. I will be talking about them in the National Sports Festival. So let's have a fantastic competition. Like you said, maybe some of those money can be put into. But if this is something you are starting and is sustainable, don't take me here and then tomorrow you're bringing me down. Please. If this is sustainable, go ahead and do it. But if it's not, help the next person, whichever way, put it into something that will yield.
Yeah, that's what we should expect. Well, you've asked a lot of questions concerning how they intend to make it big. Let's hear from your LOC chairman, who happens to be also the Commissioner for Sport, Delta State, Tonobok Okowa.
The arrival starts tomorrow, the 20th, and opening ceremony is 23rd. So 3 days difference. Screening starts 21st, so you do screening first, 21st and 22nd. Possibly part of 23rd, you would have had enough time to screen. And screening does not just end there, sir. Screening will even continue when the activities of the sports will start. At the sports venue, if you find anybody that you feel that it's not supposed to be there, you can, or they can also raise such attention and then let them look into all documents that qualify such person to be within the age bracket. So screening is a continuous process. The facilities are very, very ready. The only one that is not yet up is the gymnastics. The equipment will be here tomorrow and they'll set it up. They will have time enough to set it up before it takes about 1 whole day to set up. So by on the 22nd, it will be fully ready. I also want you to know that even in this youth game, we have also invited the anti-doping, this is the water of Nigeria, to make sure they will be here. They are going to be here and they are going to be testing even these youths. So any coach that thinks he's going to come here and cheat might just find himself in trouble. So what we are trying to do is to make sure that athletes will compete clean, to make sure that sportsmen and women, and then these are youths, will compete clean. If they start up from this grassroots level, they will grow with it and it will help Nigeria.
It's all about competing clean for the youth athletes, and that's what Delta State is doing. You posed the question about if it's sustainable in the sense that is the youth games, so they intend to bring in everything possible. I mean, in terms of screening, I mean, we'll always be asking questions on screening. How do you ensure that the athletes are competing at the right age? And you just talked about what they intend to do. Even if you're at the verge of receiving your medal at the medal ceremony and they discover that you're not within that age, you're screened out. So screening is going to be all through. And of course, doping, they're not saying that, oh, because they are young athletes, coaches can be very funny. And of course, they also put that in place. Let me go to Austin in London. Austin, sometimes you have to teach these athletes what they need to know and understand the importance of actually competing clean. And I love Delta State bringing that in. They're not thinking they're just young people. Oh, we really don't need them. They may not do that. But they're looking at the aspect of the coaches who are just trying as much as possible to win at all costs.
That's what it is, Cecilia. I keep saying it that at the grassroots, it's beyond competing. You need to teach young kids life values. You need to let them understand that the game is fair play. You need to help them develop their talents. So coaches that come with the win at all costs, you need to find a way to weed them out of the system, because at that moment, they are not ambassadors of sports for development. And that's why I like what we're going to be seeing at this year's National Youth Games, zero tolerance to age cheats. I keep saying it, that this is the level where we can fight age cheats, the grassroots, where we can actually imbibe good values to these kids. And sports, has the power to transform lives. So we can start telling them that, look, whatever a coach tells you, or sometimes even parents tell kids to lie, because everyone wants to win. You want this child to make it to Europe or make it to the big stage, and then you're already giving it a faulty foundation. So I always tell people that, no, let it be okay at that foundational level. And then this child will grow, because it's from bottom to top. So when you tell this child to lie about his age and he goes there, he cheats, he competes against kids who don't have the same ability as he does, and then 10 years' time, he can't compete anymore because he was cheating all the way to the top. And so he would drop. The good one for the National Youth Games, I like what I heard Tono Bokowa talk about. I just hope that they talk and do it, because I understand the politics and system around all of these age grade competitions in Nigeria. Sometimes governors will even call, we hear that you want to screen our child, or you don't want, or these commissioners, they're all friends. No, be firm, say things and do them. Look, change is inevitable, and sometimes it will hurt you for you to get the right change. So let us ensure that we enforce it, that the right kids compete at the National Youth Games. And guess what? It won't just only benefit the states, it will benefit Nigeria.
That's it. Just your thoughts quickly on this one before we go on a break.
I think I love both angles. Age cheat, especially for me. Imade Osare, if I'm not pronouncing it. Yeah. Whenever he plays, you see his classmates or classmates coming out to say, we're together at this. It's something they've been able to follow. If today you're telling me you're 14, I don't need to come back and ask you 4 years later how old you are.
Yeah.
You're 18. Yeah. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
If at this level you can check, verify so well age of all of, because there will be stars tomorrow.
Of course.
So many of them will become, Nigerian representatives and all of that. We'll go back to tell you, check the National Youth Games in 2023. This boy was 13. And then today, the last National Youth Games, there was a 10-year-old that competed. Today, we can calculate how old she would be. So it's as simple as that. And for doping, every day, you need to teach athletes. And also, you mentioned coach and parenting. Yeah. These two parties need to also, probably, is there orientation or teaching? They need to understand.
It's usually the coaches, because
at this level, it's not the athletes.
Yes, it's not the athletes.
Yes.
Because you have to tell your athletes, you have to educate your athletes.
Sometimes they even give things to these athletes that they don't know. They'll just tell them, take this, take that. For you. And the athletes will just take and then go onto the pitch or go to the court, go to the tracks and all of that. And next thing they are tested, they are testing positive. So we need to do that teaching all round, and then we get better athletes for tomorrow.
Yeah, that's the hope we'll be getting. But Sports Tonight will continue on all our platforms. But on DSTV, we'll be having Inside Niger Delta. That will happen after this break. And hopefully we can get back Daniel Gali to join us and talk about the World Wrestling Championships where 6 Nigerians are competing in Serbia, Belgrade. Welcome back. So we'll go back to Belgrade in Serbia, where the president of Nigeria Wrestling Federation will be joining us to tell us what's happening and how many Nigerian athletes are currently, maybe about to pick a ticket to the Olympics. Good evening. It's good to have you join us.
Good evening, and thank you for having me on your program.
Okay. All right. Let's just go straight into it. I mean, how is it in Belgrade? Of course, Nigerian athletes competing. And again, we have 6 athletes going and all women.
Yeah, we have 6 athletes. Fortunately for you, we have all 6 of them are women.
Yeah.
Because in our estimation, they're the best the country has to offer at this time. Today, we had Odunayo Adekuruye, Mercy Genesis, and Anna Ruben competing. Fortunately and unfortunately, they all won their first round matches, and Mercy and Hannah lost their second round matches. Odunayo won our first 2 matches, and in the quarterfinals lost to Moldova. But the Moldovan also qualified for the finals. So Odunayo has a chance tomorrow to come back in the repechage and wrestle for bronze. And if she wins a bronze medal or gets a 5th position tomorrow, she will qualify for the Olympics. But the other 2 were not that lucky. The people who beat them didn't make it to the finals. So they are out of it for now, but they still have a chance next year in March at the Afro-Oceania Olympic qualifiers to still make it.
All right, that's okay. Yeah, I think Austin is chipping in some questions from London.
Yeah, President, I know that the team had I'm tempted to say fairly good preparations for these World Championships. I was following the updates of Mercy Genesis fight. What really went wrong with our wrestlers today in terms of their performance?
They didn't wrestle badly. To be honest with you, I was quite impressed with the performances. Mercy was comfortably leading 4-2 against Romania, who is actually a top 6 athlete, but should have won that match. And if she had won that, then she would have had to meet Japan in the finals. Japan is the Olympic and world champion. So even if she had lost that match, she would have a chance for a bronze medal competition tomorrow. But I'm not really too bothered because I know that there's a plan we have, and the plan is for the Olympics next year. But it would have been good to qualify, especially Messi, because I think he's right there. Last year, he lost the bronze medal fight at the World Championships in the last 30 seconds. And we have done a lot more. In fact, in my estimation, she's a better wrestler this year. So I feel bad for her. Cried for 2 hours, but that has to go. And we're looking forward to Odunayo hopefully making it tomorrow, winning a bronze for us and qualifying for the Olympics. And Blessing Oburududu, Esther Kulawale, and Christiana Ogonsanya will be wrestling tomorrow.
Now tell me about Esther Kolawole. That's another good prospect. What are your expectations from Esther?
Very tough weight class. I expect her to go out and wrestle. What I want from these our young athletes is not to have any fear of this former world, former Olympics. Those are just statistics, and that's what I keep telling them. You go in and impose yourself on them, and that is how we train. So I expect her to do well. 2 years ago, she was the under-23 junior world bronze medalist. She's now getting into the senior category, and I expect to see good things from her. I expect her to go out and prove herself to us based on the potential we see in her. Blessing Oburududu, Of course, had a shoulder injury and didn't quite compete earlier this year. She has only had 2 competitions this year, but she looks good in training, and I'm also hoping that tomorrow she'll be able to go out and qualify her weight class for them.
All right,
awesome. Cecilia.
Okay, that's the hope we're having. Austin mentioned about preparations for this championship, and now before you guys went to Belgrade, Serbia for this championship, you actually met with the new sports minister. What was the outcome of that meeting? Has he started talking about preparations
I think it
for
was
the
more
Olympics?
like
Okay.
It was more like a fill-out kind of meeting. They wanted to know the issues that all the federations had and the immediate preparations we had. So we told them. But of course, I would always tell him that if we are going to be operating a system that we can all be proud of, you cannot have federations without budget.
Yes.
You cannot tell me that the Wrestling Federation does not have a budget and you expect them to do well. Some of the things we've been doing are just miracles. What we've been doing at the ministry, as far as I'm concerned, is funding people to go to competitions, but not allowing federations to plan for 4 years, 8 years, or 12 years. And until we do that, until federations have proper budgets to be able to plan, we'll probably be going to every Olympics open to win a bronze medal.
Does he understand this, and does he intend to actually take action immediately? Because the Olympics is next year, and we're still having, there's some competitions that some athletes couldn't even go. Yes, we understand he just came into the office, but the Olympics is next year, and we'll start judging him from that. Does he understand how important it is for federation to get the funding? And if athletes that are going for the Olympics, how soon would that fund be released for athletes who've qualified for them to really start preparing for the Olympics?
Yes, I was actually quite impressed with him because he's very forward-looking. Well, of course, that's what you get with every new minister. So I wouldn't want to start making any judgments yet. But from the initial impressions, I was happy with the way he looked at situations. I also had an opportunity to go back on Wednesday to go and meet with him one-on-one, and I like his foresight. I think if he carries out things the way he plans to have them, we might have a slight change in the way things are done in Nigeria.
Okay. I don't know if Austin has 1 or 2 questions for you before we let you go. Austin?
Yeah, so President, you talked about Blessing, you talked about Esther, and I think we're also expecting Odunayo. What other wrestler is getting on the mat tomorrow?
Tomorrow we have Christina Ogunsanya. She's at 53 kilograms. A young athlete, just won her first African Championships this year. And Blessing Oborodudu. And tomorrow we have Esther Kolawale too. So hopefully 4 will be competing tomorrow because Odunayo competes first to qualify to wrestle for bronze, and then the others will start tomorrow. So if we can get a couple of them qualified, we also have an opportunity in March for the Oceania and Africa Olympic qualifiers to qualify a lot more. But I'd be happy if we qualify quite a number of athletes here so that Africa will have those spaces to occupy when we go to the Olympic qualifiers next year.
Sounds good. I'm sure there were lessons learned from today's performances that the wrestlers competing tomorrow can take into the mat. Thank you so much, Daniel Igali, President, Nigeria Wrestling Federation. Give our best wishes to Team Nigeria in Belgrade, Serbia. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's it, Daniel Igali, President, Nigeria Wrestling Federation, speaking to us from Serbia. Kennedy, before we got Daniel Igali on the show, you were talking about time for us to start having new names. Now you've heard about Esther Kolawale and Christina Ogunsanya. I think that's progress for wrestling in Nigeria.
And they are still women. The president said good for Sisi, but not good for Austin and Kenny. But it is what it is. We want new names, successors to take the baton and continue. Because wrestling seems like it has come here to stay. I was asking some friends, I said, which sport can Nigeria beat their chest? I'm talking of fans now, that whenever this sports comes to, center stage, we can rack out medals. That's the worry for me.
Track
and I
and
think
field.
wrestling is getting, you said?
No, I said track and field.
Track and field.
Yeah,
we can beat our
medals.
chest that we can
Yeah.
get medals.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think I want that to have at least that sport or those sports where Nigerians are so comfortable that whenever, whether it's the World Athletics Championship or it's the Olympics, whichever meet, Nigerians can, have some level of confidence that will win, in those. So whenever you have new names and you already have those those known names still winning and new names competing favorably, I think it's fantastic. But like I said last week, I'll say it again. I want something done about the male, sport terrain right here. Austin said last week that it's not just wrestling.
It's all
Look
sports.
across. Probably in the last decade, it's been the women that are taking us to another level, especially when it comes to winning. Maybe this is the
Just
time where everything will
resilience,
change.
Yeah.
Oh, the women
Resilience.
have more resilience. Wow.
Because we know the funding situation in Nigeria.
In Nigeria,
so most
exactly.
of the guys cannot really cope with it. Maybe they. How do I put it? I'm trying to put it into
Probably it's a
perspective.
face.
It's hard for them to actually put it. They can't endure the suffering. But I know that's wrong, but
Yeah.
the suffering really, because
The women
we
take
talk
it
with athletes.
and then-
Somehow
and then
they know how
go.
to absorb it,
Cecilia,
and then they do their best.
You need to
Austin-
calm down.
okay.
Okay,
let's-
Table tennis, the men that are rolling.
Okay,
Table tennis.
now let's talk about the doubles event. Austin, what happened at the doubles event? You have Funke Oshonaike, who is 45 or 43, and she teamed up with a young athlete, Fatima Bello, and they won a gold medal
Wow.
at the doubles
Yeah,
event.
yeah.
Women. So when you want to bring that in, we also have another way.
Oh,
Do you
Cecilia,
want to talk about
no.
football? Do you
Cecilia,
want to
no
go to
disrespect.
football? Do you want to go
I
to
love what the women
boxing?
are doing
Do
at
you want to
football.
go to weightlifting? Do you want to go to track and field?
Cecilia,
Okay, tell me.
I join you to celebrate the
Precisely.
women. I always do.
Thank
I'm just
you.
saying
That's
that.
how it is.
I agree with Kende Idris that it's a phase. While we need to study what the women are doing in wrestling for the men to improve, I'm also saying that I want the women to do more also in table tennis, where the men seem to be doing just fine. But kudos to the women, Cecilia. Well done. Let's
Thank
get
you.
on with the
So
show.
we get on with it. Of course, we go to CAF Confederations Cup. Yes, this one,
Yeah.
Benin Insurance in Benin City, Samuel Ogbomdia Stadium. It was a 2-2 draw. They could have won the game. The two goals, I think the second goal was described. I don't know how the second goal came in, but we'll see that. But before that, let me just refresh your memory what actually went down at the weekend with Rivers United and also Benin Insurance. You take a look at the preliminary results, the first leg, where you have Etoile Filante and, of course, Rivers United ended goalless. And you have Benin Insurance, and, of course, RS Buchanan ended 2-2. And this is the game we'll be talking about, because they still have a lot to play for Rivers United, so much to play for. But let's just take a look at the goals and how it all went down for both teams. I'll start off with you here. When you look at what happened at the weekend, with Benin Insurance, they could have won the game.
I think they could have won the game because of what we saw.
Yeah.
But so many times after the 19 minutes, I'm like, this is RS Buchanan. Trust me, there is a gulf of difference when it comes to experience and what you've done in recent time. Benin Insurance.
But we've seen,
yeah.
Minos beating Giants. So,
Of course. I can remember just at the Super 6, the coach kept reminding journalists, kept reminding us that all of these guys I'm assembling has never played at this
Top
level.
flights, yes.
So you should cut them some slack
Yeah.
that they've really done well to even be here.
Yeah.
And now we're talking the continental
Yeah.
football. I think they've done well. Probably, maybe RS Buchanan read those CV and thought they would just come and roll
Yeah,
over
that's
Benin,
what they were
and they were
thinking.
shocked. And I think also what Benin Insurance did so well last season, in the regular season of the MPFL, which is, if we don't win, you won't beat us.
Yeah.
Is another thing.
That's what they've been doing.
They've got a lot of resilience when it comes to soaking up pressure and all of that. And I think that kudos should go to the coach. And I want to see how they will perform in Morocco.
Yeah.
If they do that so well, probably it ends 1-1, 0-0.
Yeah,
then
that was the
they're
goal
already
I was
on the-
talking about. They just allowed him. I don't know if it was inexperience. This guy had no business scoring this goal from the way he started, right from when they made that pass. The player that was supposed to get it did not get it, and they got the ball, and he went on and on and on, just like what
think
Jesus did
yes,
to,
to
Manchester United.
I think that is
just like this was
where
even worse,
sometimes
because where this happened was right in their own half, inside their 18 yards box. I thought it's something they could have managed, but they just couldn't manage this. And after this, trust the Moroccan side.
I think this
they
is
had to
football,
lock up.
number one, and number
happened.
two also. Sometimes this experience, comes to bear. So
you're right.
I
First
think
time
that was
playing
what
at this
happened.
stage, so it's something to cheer about. That's why the coach was really
has
serious.
helped them manage that psychological, know-how so well in these games. Trust me, I think Bendel Insurance have really, really impressed me.
Austin, I mean, you watched the game and we saw, when you see the goals, especially the equalizer, you could understand that it was scrambled to score, but the goal that actually gave the advantage to this Moroccan side, it's something you could say they could have done better. As Kehinde mentioned, is football. Sometimes you just don't know when, the big blow is actually coming, and they dealt Benin Insurance that. Of course, that's why at the end of the game, the coach was really furious that people were asking him, why didn't you win at home? And he was like, come on, these guys are defending champs.
Cecilia, for a very long time, I've never watched football and invest so much emotions the way I did in this game between Bendel Insurance and RS Berkane. Now look at the goals, how they conceded those goals. That was Osareko's goal in the 28th minute. Moments later, Lamlao, equalized for the visitors 1-1. That goal was scored in the 37th minute. In the 60th minute, Augustus gave Bendel Insurance the lead. In the 77th minute, the visitors equalized. Now, just look at the timing of when they're taking the lead and then they are conceding again.
Yes.
It tells you something is wrong. No disrespect to RS Berkane. We've not given them the respect that they do. They're champions. Last year's champions. They won the CAF Super Cup. This is a top Moroccan side with rich experience in continental football. But let's address the issue with the pitch. This is what we always talk about, Cecilia. People will come out and say everything that they want to say, but when it rains, I'm looking for one pitch in Nigeria that when it rains, problems won't be exposed. And that wasn't so good, even for Bendel Insurance players. The waterlogged pitch affected their play. But why this one pained me was the way they considered that equalizer, the second goal for RS Berkane. Was terrible defending. And I looked at it and I said, okay, Austin, calm down. This happened against Aso Chief, 1-1. I didn't write off Bendel Insurance completely. I said it was going to be difficult for them. They went away to Algeria and they won it via penalty. But with RS Berkane, this is very, very difficult. See the way RS Berkane ensured that if they concede, they go back to score. That's the mentality you need to approach any CAF Champions League or CAF Confederation Cup game. Now that's Eimba. I wish them all the best. Rivers United just got me to another realm. That game first thing first against Etoile Filante of Burkina Faso. They have no reason, because that game was played in Yamoussoukro,
in Côte d'Ivoire.
So it was neutral ground. Rivers United, the better side. This is the kind of result down that you go to Port Harcourt and something will just go wrong. You hear it ended 1-1. Penalties, Rivers United out. When you have an opportunity to win, please just win.
it's crazy. Football sometimes is crazy. But we'll see what's going to happen in the return leg. That's the anticipation right now. And we're wishing all the teams participating the best. Okay, let's just quickly take a look at the UEFA Champions League, of course, the biggest European competition. The games currently going on. I think at halftime, I don't know what's happening with Manchester City right now. Maybe Austin will have enough updates about that. I mean, Resta Begru actually leading by 1 goal at halftime. I think Manchester City should be back now. Barcelona already 3-1 up at halftime. Newcastle, as you mentioned earlier, ended goalless against AC Milan, who lost to Inter Milan 5-1 in Serie A at the weekend. I think they still can't get goals rolling in. Or PSG, Borussia Dortmund were also goalless at the time, we before we get into the studio. Austin, I think you have some updates for us before we quickly talk about Arsenal.
I will definitely give you updates. Red Star Belgrade, yes, they did that little upset that got some people smiling. But Manchester City said, oh, so you want to bamba? You want to chill with the big boys?
You're not ready.
Right now, it's Manchester City 3, Red Star Belgrade 1.
Okay.
I didn't expect anything out of that. Barcelona, they're schooling Royal Antwerp. 5 goals to nothing.
Okay.
FC Porto, they're doing a good job away at Shakhtar Donetsk. That match right now in the 82nd minute is FC Porto 3, Shakhtar Donetsk 1. And remember, FC Porto, they had a good season last season in the Champions League. RB Leipzig defeated Young Boys away from home 3-1. Good result for them. It's Paris Saint-Germain 2, Borussia Dortmund 0. That's a surprising result for me because I was thinking Dortmund might just push PSG all the way. It's AC Milan and Newcastle. You mentioned it. That one ended goalless. Good win. Good. You see, I was already calling it a win because that's how I described it. It's a good one for Newcastle because AC Milan had a good season last year in the UEFA Champions League. It's Atletico Madrid 1, Lazio 0. That game is in its second minute. Feyenoord 2, Celtic 0. That game also in the 82nd minute. So, not surprising results, like that. So far, but I like what Red Star Belgrade did, in the opening minutes of that game against Manchester City. But no, Pep's team found a way to turn it around. That's champion stuff, Cecilia.
That's what they're made of. Let's just quickly take a look at the games for Wednesday, which is tomorrow with Group A, where you have Galatasaray and Copenhagen will be in action. You also have Manchester United and, of course, Bayern Munich will be in action. Just know what has been happening to Man United. You understand what you're going to get from that game with Harry Kane, with the Bayern. Arsenal and PSV Eindhoven will also be in action. Sevilla Lens will be in action. Group C, where you have Real Madrid and Union Berlin, of course, also making their debut in the UEFA Champions League. Braga and Napoli will also be in action, so we'll be able to watch Victor Osimhen tomorrow. I think I saw a little bit of Samuel Chukwueze, earlier today with the AC Milan. Also, you have Benfica and Salzburg, Real Sociedad and Inter Milan. These are the games we'll be expecting for tomorrow. But for Arsenal, Arteta, he's been talking about their return to Europe, and the players need to make the best of this particular opportunity. Let's take a listen to him.
Every time that I watch it and we weren't there, I felt it. And I think you put pressure on yourself. This club has to be in Champions League, and when I have the job that I had, I feel extremely responsible to try to bring the club to the biggest stages, the biggest tournament, and then be fighting for them. And it was a process, but we are here, and now we have to make the most out of it. Well, proud and excited, I would say. It's been a long time for the club since we haven't been in the competition, and obviously it's the first time for me as a manager as well, so really looking forward to it. And we've been chasing it and fighting for it, and now we've got it. And now we have to make the most out of it, and it starts at home, and I'm sure all our supporters are going to be really excited about it, and it's to manage that and as well to enjoy the challenge. And we have to treat it like any other game, and we are used to playing top opposition every week in the Premier League, and tomorrow again we're going to have a top side fighting against us, and the good thing that we experience that every 3 or 4 days in the Premier League, so it couldn't be any different tomorrow.
Yeah, the return. Just a quick one before we wrap up the show.
They have to make the most of it. If you want to be called one of the big teams, this is where you tell the entire world what you can do. Not in your local league. So Arsenal needs to make the most of this.
Bayern
and Manchester United.
Look at you.
I don't know.
Okay, all right. Austin, he doesn't know. Austin, we need to leave.
There's this parody account on Twitter that tweeted that Manchester United told Bayern Munich, you can keep the 3 points, we are not coming to Germany. And I found it so funny. But it's football where anything can happen, so you never say never. That's the show. In London, I'm Austin Okonakwan. In everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.
I hope United will not do a Sao Tome and Principe, what they are doing to Super Falcons after inviting players. Everyone is ready to play, and they say, we're sorry, we cannot come. Your boys beat our boys 16 aggregate, right? 6 and 10. So I don't know how many the girls will ship, so they decide not to turn up. So they won't be having
walkover is 3-0.
Of course, it's 3-0, so they rather take that. Okay. Kende, thank you so much for
coming. It's always lovely to be here, and it's nice to have you back.
All right, thank you so much for watching. We'll leave you with Harry Kane he's got a message for Manchester United. I'm Cecilia Omongbe. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night rest.
Obviously, they've been going through a bit of a tough spell recently, but sometimes that can be really dangerous because they're looking for a big response, and we need to be careful of that. We're at home. We want to dictate the game. We want to play the way we want to, but they have some threats as well that we really need to be careful of. So I don't like to think too much about the form that the team are in, because every game can be different. So I just need to perform. Of course, we have to use circumstances to our advantage as well, and we need to go with a big confidence. We're at home in front of our fans. It's important to start the game on the front foot and really try and put the pressure on the opposition. So that's what we'll try and do. Of course, I touched on they've got some big threats as well, and counter attack. They have some really quick players, so we need to be wary of that. But overall, it's a game that we want to try and dominate and try and keep the pressure on, and hopefully break down as the game goes on.